I see a question in the back.
When I am allowed to go to other places, I want to go to the beach.
So a lot of, with LAD, you can't go in caves because of the bacterial and the fungi, or the fungal infections. So she can't go in caves. We stopped going to the beach. We just try to kind of keep in our own little bubble. Actually, for a while, they thought she had SCID, I think, because of everything that she dealt with. So yeah, she's got a whole dream board of things that she wants to do in the beach.
Well, two things.
What's the other thing, Marley?
When I'm 16, I want to go and travel in a van.
Travel in a van? That sounds awesome.
So you are a role model.
Do you have a van, Allie?
It wasn't you.
I think we've got one ready for you.
YouTube videos, and she's seen another girl do that. So she's like, but when that popped up, I'm like, look, she did it too.
I see some questions. Yes. Let me just, so everyone can hear. The question was, for Tamara, what advice would you give for others who might be considering joining in a trial? What are the factors that go on?
So like I said, for me, there was no hesitation because we went years of not knowing, and then she was finally diagnosed, and then I did my research. So I would say, do your research. As the parent, you're the advocate for your child, especially a young child. So you have to know have all your cards out in front of you, know what your options are, and then go from there, because it might not be for everybody. But I knew in my heart that it was for Marley, because I had researched for years and prayed about it, and so that was the path I knew we should take.
One more question? Yes. Oh.
Go ahead.
Actually, we can make that 2 questions. We've got time, right? Okay.
If you could just quickly explain what the gene therapy is and how it works with her disease, that would be really helpful.
Sure. So for LAD, as you heard, it's a problem with the white blood cells not being able to clear infections. White blood cells are made in the bone marrow. And that's why getting bone marrow from a healthy donor can work, but it has to be a perfect match, or it could be much more complicated, as we've heard. And so in this case, we take her own bone marrow stem cells, put in the gene that is missing, and give them back to her. And so because they're her own cells, they're a perfect match, and we don't need to give as much chemotherapy, so it's a much milder transplant. And so it's really the technology is how do you put the gene into the stem cells? And that's evolved over the years. So there was a trial, as you said, in the late 90s using sort of version 1.0, and she got version about 3.0. And now it's working well enough that it can get the gene to many of the stem cells and give them the gene they're missing. So that's how it works.
But I guess maybe this is the lawyer hat in me. I do feel compelled to say, we're still in an investigational stage.
Question for Dr. Kohn. You've obviously been a pioneer in gene therapy for 2 or 3 decades and helped invent ex vivo lentiviral therapy. Seeing Marley today walk around like this, how do you feel?
Oh, well, it's wonderful. It's why we do it. I mean, it's a miracle that we have the technology has evolved to this stage. And there are, as you know, you have a trial for Fanconi's anemia and many others. And the hope is that for this set of diseases, at least the blood cell diseases, it'll make transplants so much easier, and everyone has a donor themselves. And so it's great to be able to do. It's scary, both for the doctor also, because you're doing something that's never been done to a young child, and you worry, but when you see this result, it just makes it great.
And I guess I would like to end with, what's the one thing that you want us to walk away with? Oh, that's a loaded question, isn't it? Okay, if you have more than one thing, feel free to share.
Never lose your hope, because, like with Marley, she has a story, and we're sharing her story. But not only her story, but the hope that that it brings to all the ones that are still going through things that aren't diagnosed, or that aren't diagnosed, and with anything in life. We hope you should share your story and give inspiration to others, because you don't know what others are going through. And like I said, we didn't have anyone that we knew that we could go to talk about things. So you should share your story, because then you might be able to have a connection that you never knew you had.
Yes.
And if I could say one message, the message is science. This is how we diagnose these diseases. This is how we treat them. So we all have to be advocates for science in schools, in our government, and throughout society, so that we can come up with new treatments for all the rare diseases.
I'm not Christian, but I'm going to say amen to that.
Neither am I, but amen.
Marley, anything you want to add?
I'm sorry, what?
Anything you want to add?
No.
That sounds about right. Please join me in thanking Tamara, Marley, and Don.